She brushes me off every time, but I keep trying.
Shall I show myself?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're supposed to talk about landscape design. So I've got 2 hours to make you a landscape architect. It takes 5 years of college to do that, just to get a BS degree. So it's not going to be exactly that comprehensive. But what I am going to try and do is introduce you to some of the principles and methods that landscape designers use. And of course, my goal is to give you some tools so that you can help make landscapes a little more aesthetically pleasing, both for yourself and for other people that want master gardeners to help them draw something up. I never hesitate to pull out a legal pad and just draw pictures with people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be to scale. I know a guy that won't do anything unless it's to 4-inch scale. I can't even see 4-inch scale. But we're going to go through some of those things. Now, most of what you have had in the Master Gardener training up until now has been science. Today's about art. It's about kind of tying it all together. And you may hear me repeat some things that you probably have already heard. And I'm not just doing it just for the fun of being repetitive. It's just to kind of see it from the other side or from the other angle. I do this with images. I have good images and bad images. Because oftentimes to make a point, if you can show people what those plaid pants and polka dotted shirt really look like together, it makes more of a point than if you just kind of tell them verbally, so to speak. I do not have pictures of $1 million houses. These are pictures I've taken driving through neighborhoods, in some cases very quickly, because if you stop and take pictures of people's houses, the police will show up. That's happened to me more than once. And you kind of sped away and put your old baseball cap on and try not to get arrested any more than you have to anyway. So let's get started. Okay, what's the purpose of landscaping? We all live in big square boxes sitting on top of the ground, and we try and make them look pleasing, but they don't belong there. They just don't look like they're there until we start putting some plants around it and make it look like it's part of the community, part of the neighborhood, that kind of thing. So that's really the purpose of what we're trying to do. Sometimes we get a little carried away. And then all kind of goes wrong. Now, I ride around taking pictures of things. So if any of your homes show up in any of the pictures, that has happened to me before. And I said, and look what a great job they did with this. So I've gotten in trouble before. But sometimes we get carried away. We see plants we like, we buy too many of them, and we just kind of put them somewhere, and things get kind of carried away. I don't know what this is, kind of puzzle piece looking kind of thing. Church grass there. There you go. But anyhow, sometimes we do get carried away and we do things that just don't make sense in the big picture scheme of things. There are 3 areas of the landscape. This might show up as a test question. It just might. I essentially will submit to them questions and they'll use whatever they want. But you got 3 basic areas. You got your public area, which is just what it sounds like. It's what the public sees. In many cases, it's a little more formal and kind of keep it a little neater. You got your private area, and this is where you run around and show pants and do things that you want to do in the backyard. And if you want to have some yard art that's a little tacky, that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with pink flamingos. But you don't usually put them in the front yard. And then we have what we call the service area. And if you think about it, we've got trash cans and we've got gas meters and we've got stuff like that. And sometimes the kids' play area isn't going to be the most attractive part of the landscape. So sometimes we just kind of want to think of it as a separate thing. And sort of think of having three basic areas. Okay, before we do anything else, we're going to kind of analyze what we have to work with. There are some very nice features in every landscape, and we need to capitalize on those before we start throwing plants in there. I know you all are plant lovers. You want to throw plants into the landscape. We all do. And particularly when you see that beautiful little thing, it's blooming profusely at the Lawn and Garden Center, you want to put it somewhere. But let's start with what we have first. First thing you need to do is to solve these kind of issues. Because it doesn't matter what shrubs you put here, they're gonna die. And the kind of grass, you've got a lot of trouble choosing what sort of grass would be best. It's also not gonna live if this is gonna be its environment. You can grow rice. In the past, 6 months, a lot of us have kind of wondered, are we gonna be able to change our vegetable growing abilities? But above all, do this first. And it's amazing. I had a fellow who called me one time, he had put in $5,000 worth of grass and it died. And he put in 5,000 more and it died. And he put in 5,000 more and it died. He put in 5,000 more. It was looking really bad. And he called me up and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "What's wrong is that you've done this 4 times. And when you figured out, you need to get a little bit decent drainage in there." So I'm sure some of your previous speakers have talked about drainage and how important it is, but plants will not live with wet roots. I have a water garden with plants growing in water. There are a few, but typical landscape plants will have real problems with that. Do this first. Also think about how people are going to move around the landscape. Sidewalks, driveways, those kind of things. These days, a lot of us live on busy streets. You don't need backing out into the street if you don't have to. This is also part of drainage because all this water and all this impervious surface is going somewhere. I prefer. Oh, I didn't even bump that. But think about where people are going to walk and move. Sometimes it's harder than other times. I just can't even. I don't even know what that is, but I thought it was fun. And what do you put here? Turf grass? You mow it up and down or side to side? Yeah. It's kind of nuts. That's right, and if you do get up enough speed, you get up the hill, you're gonna go to the back of the road. But think about how you're gonna get in and out and those sorts of things, and because we need to keep safety in mind as we plan and design and set this all up. Okay, you see some of the problems here. One is you got these shrubs planted a foot. I know what it is.
It's a board.
You got plants that are in the shade, you got a sun plants, you got a foot from the thing, and they all go together about 6 feet wide, 7 feet wide. You got Bermuda grass right up to the base of a tree. Bermuda grass doesn't grow in the shade. Every year they come out with the new Bermuda grass that grows in the shade. For the last 36 years, they've come out with the new Bermuda grass every year. And every year I say, hot dang, it's finally here. Also, you got kind of a drainage issue. If you look at what's back there, and you'll see that you've got water that's going to be puddling in an area and the grass quality is not going to be good. A big round bed, you could just solve all of that. And it's just so easy and it would save you money because you're not paying for all that grass. So solve those kind of issues. That's the drainage issues. Who sees the drainage issue here? Y'all gotta help me now. I can't. For the last 1,000,000 years, water has ran down this hill. And they took away the hill. Where's the water? It's still there. It's going somewhere. So as you build this stuff, and this is beautiful, you're going to need to do something about getting water from where it's coming from to where it's going to, and not right through your living room. I had a lady one time, and she gathered all this gutter down spout line and dumped them right on her. She was a sweet little old lady, and so she said, "What should I do? Dig a ditch or something?" I said, "No. Let's do the opposite of a ditch. Let's do a berm. We'll bury a load of dirt, one beside it, and then on top of that, pat it all down, cover it with pine straw. You really don't see it. It's about that high. The next time it rained, all that man's water came out of his pipes, hit that berm, and put 2 inches of water through his whole house." He was going to sue her. She didn't give me up, which I think is a good thing. But she'd asked him for a long time, didn't see his water, he deserved to keep it, I guess. But think about these sorts of things, and really drainage is a huge issue. And I'm sure all your horticulture people and all the disease people and everybody's going to tell you to do something about drainage, but please think about that as you're planning your landscape. Sometimes we have things to deal with. We have the boxes with with the cable television and the telephones and all those sorts of things. When they put them underground, they put big boxes every other house. I don't even know what that is. That's like something from NASA. But they are out there, and so what do we do with those things when they're in the landscape? And they're out there. I mean, typically what you try and do is sort of minimize it. I like to use a ground cover or something around it. It doesn't cover it because I guarantee you the telephone man's going to come and prune that for you, right? This is a fire hydrant. Around it are about 8 plants of Ilex rotundifolia. Each leaf has got about 7 stickers that will just eat you alive. So if your house catches on fire, it's going to burn down. But the fireman is not going in there to get that. Or what he'll do is take his axe off the side of the truck, but you don't get to use very much. He's going to chop that down for you. But think about these sorts of things. They are in the landscape, and to minimize them really is sort of a better plan rather than trying to eliminate them. If you paint it, you can paint it dark green or paint it black. Then the fireman can't find it. The whole idea is to, like I say, minimize it rather than try and hide it completely. Sometimes we have things in the landscape that really would be a very attractive feature. I have seen big stone outcroppings and that kind of thing, and normally you can dump some dirt around and plant some things in there and attract attention to them, rather than try and hide them or cover them up or put a fence or a wall or that kind of thing from it. So oftentimes you may even have a neighbor who's a master gardener who's got a beautiful backyard. Well, do you want a big hedge? No, enjoy their labor. Leave that kind of open. Get in there and trim stuff out so you can see those beautiful crabapple trees and things that you have. So take advantage of what you have, I guess, is the bottom line. General design, we kind of can throw it in a couple of categories. One is sort of the formal design, and if you think about it, you drive up to this house, you get out, and you kind of put your shirt tail in and straighten your tie up, because it looks kind of formal. And a lot of people like that. A lot of people use that front yard, not necessarily in the back. You let that away. Then opposite of that's going to be an informal design. Now up around the house, there's grass and that kind of thing, but they've got this patch of woods between them and the big street. Is that a bad thing? No. Would you cut all the trees down and put grass there? No. I would get there and thin some of these out, the weaker ones, the crooked ones, and where it's too close together. I'd throw in some dogwoods and some rhododendrons and some azaleas. Have what I call pretty woods. Throw in some daffodil bulbs that come back year after year, that kind of thing. And so you can very inexpensively create a very informal landscape design that will look much nicer than trying to make formal boxwoods all in a row, kind of thing. So some homes also sort of look better with an informal kind of landscape. So it doesn't have to be boxwoods in a row, I guess is what I'm doing. Okay, everybody's got a little piece of graph paper. We're going to do a little exercise. See if you can count, basically. What we've got is a landscape. Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw your property line. In this one, it is 80 feet wide and 100 feet tall, we'll say. See if you can figure out how to fit that on this piece of paper. Now, graph paper comes in different sizes. You can get, see, you got the big squares. This is the big square. In it is 10 little squares. You already know that. So if you want to count 10, 20, 30, 40, you can do that. So if we're going to draw our property line, it's going to be 80 by 100. How would you fit that on this piece of paper?
All the way across the top, pretty much.
Pretty much. Funny how that works, huh? So everybody draw the property lines. Are we good?
Almost.
You can put some work about 7 feet too, right?
Yeah, yes, you can. I used to use that for my illustration, but I couldn't find that paper. And I remember the day before, master under training, with that 6 so I downsized. Okay, so we got our property line, and of course, yours is not probably going to be a perfect rectangle that fits perfectly in a piece of paper, but I thought that'd be a good way to start. So where does the house sit? Estimate there, but what I want you to do is be a little more accurate. Don't need to know where one point is. I like to pick a point. Okay?
Oh, that's cool. It's famous for my point. I like it.
I gotta say,
40 feet.
I gotta pick out a point, and once I have that, I can do everything else. So, 20 feet from the property line, 40 feet from the road is where you'll make a dot. That will be the corner of your house. Everybody find that dot. I think the landscape architects in here, I want to apologize in advance for what I may say. Okay, once you have that dot, you can find the others. If this house is, we're going to say it's 24 feet, about 44 feet, you can get your rectangle of where that house footprint is. (24 by 44). Big old rectangle.
It looks a lot bigger when you put it on the.
Well, making slides is hard. I'm not smart enough to do all the computer stuff. You'd get Mel to help me, I guess. Okay, we got our house?
Yep.
Okay. So, what other things are going to be permanent there? You're going to keep these 2 trees. Now, just for the heck of it, we're going to say this is the maple, this is an oak. This little number out there really is the diameter or the caliber of the tree, but we need to know where that is in relationship to the house, right? Well, this one in the front, I'm sorry, this is hard to read, is 16 feet out in that corner, and then 6 feet to your right. It's too hard for me. 16 feet toward the street and 6 feet out. And that's where you'll draw a little circle. That's going to be that trunk of that tree.
16 from the house.
16 from the house toward the street. And I can't read my little white number here.
Yeah.
But 6 feet back.
6, okay.
Do you know where our tree is?
Yep.
There?
It's 14 inches in diameter.
Let me get that. What we need to know is where that trunk is. Let's do that one first. It's 10 feet in or away from this property line and 18 feet out. And that's where that little circle goes. That would be that tree trunk. So we know where our 2 tree trunks are. Are we there?
Yeah.
10 feet in, 18 feet out. Now here's where you gotta know what kind of tree you got. This is an oak. What I typically do is go and stand up against the trunk, just get a touch anything. Stand up against the trunk of the tree and go 3, 6, 9, until I see where the trip line is. And that's where I draw that circle. Does that make sense? I want to draw where the trip line is. So I'm going to stand with my back against the trunk of that tree, and I'm going to measure out to where the wind stops.
Okay.
It was my walking that threw you off, wasn't it?
So we're saying it's got a drip
Well-
line that's 18 feet?
It doesn't really matter. This really is a 14-foot I mean, that's a 14, that's a caliber of the tree, so just ignore that number. It doesn't really matter what that is. Let's say it's, what do we think? Let's say 18 feet. 18 feet sounds good.
9 on each side.
So if you went 9 over here, made a little line.
Oh, okay.
9 over there, made a little line, and did that.
Diameter.
Right. Then you can draw what would be the circle of what your drip line is of that tree. And why is that important? You're not gonna plant Bermuda grass under here. You're gonna plant impatiens or something that will grow in the shade. That's where your hostas go, right? So you need to know when you're planting what shade and what sun. So we got oak in the front, we got a maple in the back. Well, guess what? That maple's about full grown. You identified what kind of maple it is. It's been there a number of years. It really is not gonna get much bigger. This oak tree is gonna get bigger. So what I typically do is I'll go out and, I'll just do me very lightly with a pencil, another circle. It'll be maybe 5 years. Maybe use another circle, it'll be 10 years. I just do that real lightly in pencil to tell myself, don't go in here and spend a lot of money planting stuff in the sun that's not going to be in the sun in 5 years. It's kind of called landscape planning. I guess that's where that comes from, right? And so that's the whole idea, is to do things. I love doing gardening stuff, but I like doing creative stuff. I don't like doing maintenance stuff and digging things up and moving it because now it's in the shade. And then in 5 years, moving it again. That is not my idea of a Saturday afternoon. Oh, touched it again, didn't I? Okay, so we know where our trees are. We know where our house is. There's one more little thing I want to measure. Where are your windows? Why is that important?
Views from the inside. Views from the inside.
Views from the inside. What's another reason?
Symmetry balance.
Symmetry balance, okay. God, this is a smart class. I've got all my weight coming up stuff. If you've got a 3 foot from the ground window, that is not a place to put a camellia, is it? And so you really kind of need to make some little marks on your plan as to where your windows are. In this example, 4 feet over from the wall, you have a 4 foot window. And 4 feet over, you have another one. And 4 feet over, can y'all not see those numbers? I see people scanning. You've got your little stoop, and over here you've got an 8 foot picture window. You need to make some sort of little lines or some sort of marking on your structure so that you know where your windows are. Make sense? So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And you have a 6 foot wide stoop, and 4 feet over again, you've got an 8 foot wide picture window, and hopefully, if you count right, you'll have 6 left over. Okay, we got our windows and our stoop. And that's so that you know, if this is 4 feet wide, you know what kind of plant or what size things you can put in there. Okay, are we good?
Good.
Moving right along. So then comes here's the kitchen, here's your dining room, where you want your views. And those sort of things come into play. Where you need some privacy. Over here, you've got a neighbor. He's got this giant motor home. And on the side, it says, War Damn Eagles. You don't want to look at that, right? so you're gonna need some privacy, so you need, those sorts of things is then what you start thinking about. So what I like to do is I call a bubble drawing. And you think about what's going to be where. This is kind of your entrance area. This is going to be where it's kind of a high impact. This is where you'll have your little flowers and really pretty things, really special things. You got a public area that you kind of want to be neat. Back here, you got where the kids are going to be playing. You got the trash cans and the junk back there. Just kind of think about areas for a minute. So I do myself a little bubble thing. And it doesn't matter, we ain't thinking about plants yet, we're gonna get to that. But what does this bubble thing do? It helps me create my bed lines. And to me, the bed lines, if you ride through neighborhoods, you see some houses with beautiful plants. If their bed lines aren't sharp and clean and meaningful, then the place just doesn't look as nice as the place that's very inexpensively done, with really sharp lines, clean, perfect, good bed lines. To me, that's kind of the secret to making it all look like it works. So I got my bed lines. I'm gonna have plants and stuff out here. The kids are gonna play. I got, I can see the public. This is kind of where I'm gonna put those bed lines. So then you can use little symbols and things. You've got all kind of little. I use pins, nickels, and dimes. I've got some little templates that you can get at the office supply store, and there's hundreds of these. And some are for engineering, and some are for plumbing, and some are for all kinds of things. But I just draw myself little circles. Essentially, what I like to do is I'll take this plan, I'll lay it on a copy machine and make me about a dozen of them. And then I'll just take and start playing, start drawing, start sketching. If I don't like it, go away and get another. And this is where the creative part really gets going. So there's all kinds of little symbols that you can draw to let yourself know. Some people use things for evergreens. They'll draw that different than they would for woody ornamental. Ground codes, you just kind of want to leave some kind of something. I'll sometimes, at the very end, we'll take and use color pencils. They can look pretty. Use 2 or 3 different kinds of green to distinguish between things. And just draw yourself a little. That's when you start taking your bed. So your bed lines are there. And then it's just a matter of, you want to do some screening from the motorhome. And then over here you got the play area. Let's let the kids, see that ugliness rather than, so you may do your screening out in front. So you don't have to look at the kids. I always want to have a maze in the backyard. So kids go out and play. They won't be back for hours. I just thought that was a good idea. But, so what you're doing really is you're drawing shapes. It still doesn't matter what the plant is. See, we all want to go get the plant and then walk around and go, let's put it here. The plant's the last thing. But we got your shapes, and here we know we're going to have a patio. We don't want to square. We're going to have little curves. Here we're going to have little pretty things so that people can sit on the patio and look at the little pretty things over there. People come to the entrance where they got some really nice flowering stuff. So it's all coming together, right? So then, this is when we pick the plants. There's a publication out there that you all should have probably heard about it all the time, called Landscape Plants for Georgia. This is the best publication anybody associated with any university has ever done. Now you have, if I'm not mistaken, most of this, a lot of this, maybe even all of this, in the back of your Master Gardener Handbook. It's got these plants in there. But what essentially this is our plant, our horticulturist put together a list. I've got small shrubs. Yeah. Here's medium shrubs, 5 to 8 feet. Medium shrub, 5 to 8 feet. Here's your list of about 40 choices. Our horticulturists put together this list of things that are readily available, that are kind of disease-free. They pass this list over to the pathologist who cross off those with disease problems. And then they pass this list over to entomologists who cross off those that have insect problems. So you're left with what I call our foolproof list. If you will choose plants from here, and not those plants that you grew back in Wisconsin, you will probably be successful. And native plants are great. There are a lot of plants that are not native that are also great. But anyhow, this is a really, really good publication. This is where you pull that thing out and you look at it and you say, oh, gee, that rotundifolia sounds like a great plant. Then you go to the nursery and you look at it. And it's got stickers all over it. You go, ooh, I don't really want to do that. I think I'll put that over here where all this is watching me. That's her dog tinkling my yard every day. And let me find that spiky bush. So that's when you pick the plants. And at that point, you'll see that you've got things that will repeat, and I'm going to talk about repetition and unity in a minute. And you put together your plant list. And these numbers are going to match those numbers. Now, many of you will be starting with landscapes that are already there. And of course, what you would do is start with an inventory of what you have. You may have some prickly things or some things that are really overgrown or some stuff that's sat there for 10 years and never grown an inch. And you may want to rip those out and replace them. But essentially, now you have a plan. And the good thing about this plan is, you're not going to plant a big tree right here, and then later try to figure out how the heck you're going to get from the front of the house to the house. You can't walk around it. It may take you 10 years to put these plants all in. If your budget and your work ethic is like mine, I don't want to spend all day every Saturday night. So it may over a period of seasons or years or whatever before you get the thing completely finished. But you've got a plan and you can add to it. And of course, you can always change your mind and change what these plants are and that sort of stuff. Any questions? I got too quiet over there. Okay, let's talk about some of the principles of landscape design. This is one that we call scale. No, it's not a little sucking insects. This is proportion. That's what it basically is. If you have a little small house like this, the type of plants and things that you do around it are going to be very different than a much larger house. Makes sense, right? And of course, the plants around this are going to be very different than Walter Reed's house. That's where Wally lives, right? But it's part of your plan. I mean, you're going to need plants. And you can plant something that gets 10 feet tall and get out and prune it twice a year, every year. Or you can plant something that gets 3.5 feet tall and never gets any bigger. That's up to you. If you like pruning, you can certainly do that. But the whole idea is that you have so many plants to choose from. Here in Georgia, we're at the Atlanta area is at the top of one growing zone, the bottom of another. We just have a tremendous number of plants to choose from. Which is great. I have a smart aleck in my office that got into my PowerPoints, so I don't know what surprises you will come up with. There's symmetry and balance, which has already been mentioned. And what that boils down to is you have symmetrical balance, formal balance, which is the same. If you did a line through there, it would be the same on both sides, versus asymmetrical, which is going to be a group on one or a big plant on the other. It's kind of what it boils down. Just to give you an example, if you did this straight line through this house, everything on the left would be the same as everything on the right. That's symmetrical balance, which would be a really good test lesson. But there are no houses like that, right? You'd be surprised there are. How many plants do you see? This really is seriously.
Yeah.
We don't need 127 plants in front of our house. Master gardeners. That's what we want, right? But there are a lot of them out there that are very symmetrical. And in some cases, you'll see the landscapes are done the same way. They just have the chimney in the wrong place. Tear that off and fix that. I'm sure warming up the house back 100 years ago had nothing to do with it. But there are those symmetrical ones out there. And asymmetrical, I think I have a good example. Of course, here you have kind of a not quite exactly balanced. Usually you're trying to focus people's attention toward the front door, toward what you want them to see or toward where you want them to go. This is why you see so many tan houses with a bright red door, a bright green door, right? Otherwise people walk around going, how the hell are you getting in there? Right? Asymmetrical balance. Okay, if you do your straight line, on the right you got the chimney, you got the window, you got the porch. On the left you got nothing. So how do we do an asymmetrical balance there?
Could be bigger plants.
Bigger plants over there. They got the right idea. See, they planted a little tree. They just did it wrong. What if you had a little tree that's right out here and it would get about this size? You're there with the one plant. And you can create that. And it would look balanced even though you've got the slope and all this stuff to do. So that's just two symmetrical or formal and informal balance. What else we got? Simplicity. The whole idea, what do you want people to think when they look at your landscape? You want them to think it looks nice. That's it. And having more plants or more diversity amongst plants, that sort of thing, isn't necessarily going to improve anything. Usually, keeping it simple makes a big difference. Here we have the little meatballs across the front of the house. Now, you've learned, I don't know if y'all had a pruning class yet, but if you take a plant and you round off the top, round off the top, round off the top, essentially the plant's going to put on new growth where you made your cuts. So eventually what you have is what we call little umbrella shrubs. You'll have 3 feet of sticks and 4 inches of dense foliage at the top, right? So what does that look like from the front? Plants are all naked at the bottom. So what do?
Tear them out and buy them.
No, you plant another shrub in front of it. And what I like about this picture is they're already 4 deep. About every 5 years, they add another layer in the front. And pretty soon, it'll come on out of the street. Here's another house. You see what you got to do? You got your little stair steps. If you would prune the thing, this is from the side. If you would prune the things properly, you would only need 1 row, right? And actually, you don't necessarily need a whole solid row. I would do a group, and have something, blow growing or something colorful in between. But keep it simple. If you usually if you're trying to put too many in, that sort of stuff, that tends to complicate it, make it harder, make it look less desirable than if you had used half the plants and saved that money. I'm sure these little boxwoods with bottom, they were just little cute things. Well, I don't know, would you go visit those folks? I would think spiders and stuff would jump on you if you try to walk through it. Right? So we have what I call the pickup truck method. You back your pickup truck up here, you put some chains around and you drive out to the Jiffy store and come back. And these big gaping holes, in my opinion, is better than having all this. The other thing about boxwoods, if you have 10 boxwoods, 1 will look like this. 9 21s, if you have 4, 3 will look like, nice, 1 will look like this. It's that, what's the old carpenter thing, or the tool thing, if you got 8 screws and something, 7 come right out. Storm all out, yeah, thank you, that'll do it. But the whole idea is you just don't need all of this. And I don't know if you can prune the boxwoods, you really can't prune severely. They're one of the few plants that you just can't. And so I don't know that I would just take them all out. This is a mailbox. And for that, with this 200-pound thing hanging above his head. I don't know that really adds anything. I kind of like it, but I don't know that I'd put it over the mailbox. But we do tend to want to get a little too creative. This one, I'm sorry, it's not a better picture. This is a cannon. A World War, I don't know, cannon. And the people across the street that's pointing right to their bedroom. And I know some old veteran lives here, he's got the flag, he's got his little arc of plants, and he's got his memorial there, But if I was a neighbor, I'd say, well, let's don't pick him off. That could be ugly. Had a buddy at, North Georgia College, a military college, and they got golf ball with a cannon that would shoot every day. It went through a building. I won't say his name is John Boo. And we have lots of things to choose from to put in our landscape. We need to turn that sound. What I like about this picture is that they're behind bars, so you can't get wrong. But there's lots of things out there, and you do see people use things, and I've got some old rusty signs and old pump handles, and I've got some things that a little borderline tacky, but it's in the backyard, and I like borderline tacky, a little bit. And so I can kind of get away with it, but we oftentimes don't need quite as much of all this kind of stuff as we think we do. We don't need as many plants in front of the house as we think we do. Oh, I was at this man's house, not this one, but one just like this. And the guy had this old house, and it had this big giant front porch. It was wonderful, but you couldn't even see it. And you went up the little narrow steps, and he says, well, you know about landscaping and stuff. Tell me, what do you think I need to do here? You know, I said, well, the first thing I do is I cut all this stuff way, way, way down. He said, oh, no, I can't do that. I said, why not? He said, then I'd have to paint my house. Okay, how do you argue with that, right? So, simplicity, keep it simple. You just don't need all that, just a few plants and little groupings and that kind of thing would be plenty. This house has been completely landscaped. They'll never need another plant. These are dwarf Yopon hollies. They're going to get about 4 or 5 feet wide and about that tall.
I like that plant.
Yeah, dwarf Yopon.
Yeah, I see them everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of overused, but it's kind of no insects, no disease. It can take too wet, it can take too dry. It's a hardy little thing. I managed to kill one, so got to shot that there. But the point is, simple, easy is better than overdoing it. See, a lot of people, neighbor put in 100 azaleas in an area about half the size of this room. They're about that far apart, and they're all going to get 6 feet wide. We just don't need all that. Unity, this is kind of one, it's sort of like that one little thing that ties it all together. Here you've got stone, you've got stone. So it's not just plants repeating, but it can be building materials, it can be another thing. This one's really kind of strange. The shape of the plants here is the shape of the plants there, which I don't really believe too much in the carving things into shapes.
And what is that extraction they put in the middle of the?
These are cramps.
So then you just bring them so they're taller than.
I wouldn't put that there, but the point I was making was the fact that you do see repeating things. I got some other, this is where the kids are coming out to beat me up for taking a picture of their house. 6 of them. Same thing, and you can repeat textures. Here you've got a big, coarse texture, you've got a little tiny texture, and that repeats there, and it repeats out in the mailbox. But repeating things kind of makes it look like it fits together. And when I buy plants, I'll go stand at a place on the landscape, and I'll put some of the plants where I can see them this way and some that way. And then when I walk to the next place, I want to be able to see them at least a couple of places. And that way, that sort of time, you can walk all the way down the house. And it looks like it all fits.
Mm-hmm.
Like it all was planned, so to speak. So what repeats here?
Little tin boxes. Grasses.
To me, the little splashes of color
Purple.
kind of tie it all together.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the little square boxes. We're gonna tease about those in a minute. So that's unity. Now, repetition is a different but semi-similar thing. How we doing for time? Y'all just take a little quick break there, don't you? I don't want to put you to sleep. Repetition. Okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Meatballs, city, right? Now, they got a pretty little fence. People can drive their driveway. They walk through the little fence area to the front door. They can get to the door. That's a good thing. But I don't know what all that is, you know, what is, that's not what I would call good repetition. Who can see the repetition here? The trees. See the trees? And remember we started off talking about big, square, ugly boxes sitting on the ground? This is a big, square box, isn't it? But you get this, and of course, during most of the year, you got the leaves on the trees knocking the hard edge off. When you look at it, you don't see. Even in the wintertime, just the bare branches do that. So this kind of repetition is a good thing.
I still wouldn't play some square like that though.
Okay. I understand.
It's just so square.
It is square. You're right. You're right.
Oh, well,
Yeah. And it's the front. I guess they kind of want to keep it more formal. Here's another kind of repetition. You got this drive, and then it's repeated there, and there, and there, and there. The curve is repeated. Now, you're not always going to be in a helicopter looking straight down, right? But as you walk through this landscape, you won't understand why, but it will look like it all flows. So that's a good kind of repetition. One thing that we're hearing a lot about lately, you know, this kind of fads or trends, is to have history in the landscape. You have places where you stand and you can't quite see it. You kind of wonder what's over there. It's a nudist colony or something. I don't know what they're looking for, but to have areas that you can't quite see is kind of a new trend that people are trying to do. But you see the curves. Let's take a break right now. Let's take just a really quick 3-minute and 54-second break. I got a whole bunch more to cover. And I don't want y'all to have to sit for 2 hours.
Great snacks in the back too. Who are our snack ladies today, oh gentlemen? Natalie and Rob. All right, thank you.
Did you bring the bars, the energy bars? Where did you buy them? Okay, I'm gonna look for them.
Yeah.
And I love that they're meat-free and dairy-free.
I know.
They're awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so they use way they
Oh, I think they take stuff out. It's too close to the house, like trees, stuff like that.
Yep.